Well, we'll see where this one goes. That's part of this. Which petition is that?
160 South Center.
What is it?
160 South Center.
That's this one here.
So we should hear Mr. Hansen's stuff.
So we just go ahead with these two.
I don't see it here.
Back to the regular agenda.
So does she start in the job now? Next Wednesday. Oh, no, she's got the course on. Did she?
The 20, yeah, she, the 21st.
Doesn't look like a big crowd today.
It makes me feel so good.
All set, Mike? Yep. Okay, the meeting will please come to order. This is a duly advertised meeting of the Joliet Zoning Board of Appeals. In our capacity, we hear petitions for relief from the strict provisions of the city ordinance. In matters of this type, the decision of this board is final. It does not go to the mayor or the city council for any further action. If you disagree with our decision, you do have recourse in the court of record. We also hear petitions for variations of land use. In matters of this type, we act as an advisory board to the mayor and city council, making a recommendation either for or against it. The final decision on land use is made by the mayor and the city council. Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Darling?
Here.
Mr. Ferguson?
Here.
Mr. Graham?
Here.
Ms. Powers?
Here.
Mr. Riggs?
Here.
Mr. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Hennessy?
Here. Okay, we've had some requests to change the agenda a little bit. Let's hear petition 2018-12.
Mr. Chair, petition number 2018-12. The applicant is Emilio Bravo. He is also the owner of the property. This is located at
Wait a
160.
minute, did you want to table that one, didn't you? Is the petitioner here?
Mr. Bravo?
I'm not the petition, I'm the architect in the project, but the owner's not.
Okay, do you want to, okay, let's go to petition 2018-11.
Okay, Mr. Chair, petition number 2018-11. The applicant is West Jeff Auto Sales LLC, doing business as Hawk Volkswagen and Hawk Mazda. They are the contract purchaser of the property. The property owner is the Joliet Park District. This is located at the northwest corner of Illinois Route 59 and Caton Farm Road. They are requesting a special use permit for new and used car sales, including a series of variations. Again, the petitioner is requesting the special use permit in order to allow two new and used car sales businesses, Hawk Volkswagen and Hawk Mazda, at the northwest corner. The special use permit request must be considered by the City Council following the recommendation of the Zoning Board of Appeals. The property in question is currently owned by the Joliet Park District and is occupied by the southeast portion of Wedgwood Golf Course, and that would be portions of hole number 6 and hole number 7. The applicant currently is under contract with the Park District to purchase approximately 7.745 acres at the corner for the proposed commercial development. The Park District intends to modify the layout of the golf course to accommodate the proposed commercial development. The property has approximately 617 feet of frontage along Illinois Route 59 and approximately 448 feet of frontage along Caton Farm Road. The property is zoned a combination of R1 Single Family Residential District and B3 General Business District. In a separate case, which is pending consideration by the Plan Commission this afternoon, the applicant is seeking approval of a rezoning zoning reclassification of the small R1 district portion of the property to the B3 district. That's approximately 0.910 acres. And is seeking approval of a preliminary plat subdivision for the overall golf course property and final and recording plats of subdivision for Unit 1, and that includes Lot 1, which is the subject property. Lot 1, which is the subject of the purchase contract, would accommodate the proposed Hawk Volkswagen and Hawk Mazda on approximately 4.56 acres, as well as an undeveloped site to the north for a future automobile dealership, expansion, or other commercial development on approximately 3.185 acres. As you can see on your screen, that would be the vacant white portion of the site plan. This case was filed on January 5th, 2018. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character, to the north is public recreation, Wedgewood Golf Course, Zone B3 and R1. To the south is commercial, that's the BP gas station and Walgreens, Zone B3. To the east is commercial, the PNC Bank and the Shell gas station, also Zone B3. And to the west is public recreation, Wedgewood Golf Course, Zone B3 and R1. Applicable regulations are as noted in the staff report. Under discussion, the petitioner is requesting a special use permit to allow two new and used car sales businesses, Hawk Volkswagen and Hawk Mazda, at the northwest corner of Route 59 and Caton Farm Road. Hawk Mazda would be relocated from its current location at 2051 West Jefferson Street. Hawk Volkswagen would be relocated from its current location at 2861 West Jefferson Street. These moves are desired due to franchise requirements and to meet space needs. Per the proposed site plan, the two dealerships would be connected under one roof via a shared customer service bay. The proposed building contains approximately 29,500 square feet of gross floor area, according to the data table on the site plan. The lot would contain 53 customer and employee parking spaces, including 3 handicapped accessible spaces and 284 inventory parking spaces, for a grand total of 337 parking spaces. Parking for customers, employees, car display, and inventory complies with the city's minimum parking requirement for retail businesses which involve vehicle sales, which requires 1 parking space for every 500 square feet of floor area used for the display or sale of merchandise, excluding any office space, plus 1 parking space for each employee per shift. At the time of this report, the applicant has not submitted a landscape plan or building elevations. Staff has requested that the applicant submit a landscape plan and building elevations for staff review prior to issuance of the building permit, and that the landscape plan shall reflect that any fencing around the vehicle storage areas shall consist of black vinyl coated chain link fence or a wrought iron type or similar type aluminum fence. The applicant is requesting the following series of variations: a variation to allow construction of multiple structures on one lot, and that's for the proposed 2 auto dealerships building, as well as the future undetermined commercial building on the vacant northern portion of Lot 1 as shown on the site plan. 2, a variation to reduce the width of the required perimeter landscape buffer yards from 30 feet required to a minimum of 10 feet along Caton Farm Road, and from 30 feet required to 15 feet along Illinois Route 59, as shown on the site plan. And 3, a variation to reduce the required landscaping and screening planting quantities within the required perimeter buffer yards by 50%, and that would be indicated on the future landscape plan. And 4, a variation to waive the required berms along Illinois Route 59 and Caton Farm Road. 5, a variation to waive some of the required landscape islands within the parking lot to be indicated on the landscape plan. And 6, a variation to allow a portion of the proposed chain link fence around the inventory parking area to extend into the required front yards, again, to be indicated on the landscape plan and revised site plan. And 7, a variation to waive the tree preservation requirement for any existing trees on the site. And 8, a variation to waive the streetscape requirement for new construction, which has frontage along major and minor arterials, and that requires red clay brick paver accents and tree grades spaced every 40 linear feet where parkways don't exist within the existing sidewalk and is shown as part of the landscape plan. Under traffic study, the proposed site plan, I'm going to actually give you an update. There's an addendum I passed out prior to the meeting. And I'm just switching gears, going to the other document that I gave you. The proposed site plan reflects 2 proposed right-in, right-out only access points on Illinois Route 59, and a proposed right-in only access on Caton Farm Road, closest to the building, as well as a proposed full access on Caton Farm Road opposite Old Mill Road. The applicant has submitted a traffic impact study that states that a traffic signal is warranted at Caton Farm and Old Mill Road intersection. The city's traffic engineer has reviewed the study, however, and does not concur based on IDOT's Strategic Regional Arterial or SRA requirements. Caton Farm Road is a designated SRA, and per IDOT requirements, peak volumes were overstated in the study by not taking into account the allowance of right turns on red signals. Moving back to the other staff report, there's a section on the preliminary stormwater management memo. The applicant has submitted a preliminary stormwater management memo which presents the preliminary stormwater calculations and documentation for the proposed improvements of the site, which is currently part of the Wedgewood Golf Course. There is an existing pond on the golf course property north of the site that will serve as a wet bottom detention basin for the development. The subject site includes 2 development areas, the southern portion, which will be developed with the 2 proposed car dealerships, and the northern portion, which will remain vacant and accommodate an undetermined future commercial development. The site plan only depicts the proposed layout for the southern portion of the property. The northern portion will be developed at a later date. The stormwater design includes calculations for both the north and south portions of the site, and the preliminary stormwater management memo has been reviewed by the engineering division. The project is required to meet all Will County and City of Joliet stormwater management requirements. There is an existing flagpole monument on the property at the immediate corner. The attorney for the applicant has indicated that the Joliet Park District has expressed a desire to relocate the existing flagpole monument, which faces the Illinois 59 Caton Farm Road intersection, to a new location on the golf course property to be determined. One other point that I would make before stating the conditions. In the addendum, the beginning part of the addendum that I handed out before the meeting has some additional information which is really not germane to the zoning board, but the Plan Commission this afternoon would be considering a variation to the subdivision regulations to waive the required sidewalks. In conjunction with the preliminary plat, the request is for a variation to waive sidewalks along Route 59 and Caton Farm Road. Staff is recommending that the sidewalk along Illinois Route 59 be installed to accommodate pedestrian safety for the site, as well as future development to the north. There is no existing sidewalk adjacent to the golf course on the north side of Caton Farm Road, and pedestrians can use the walking and biking path along the south side of Caton Farm Road and the crosswalk at the Caton Farm Illinois Route 59 intersection to access the subject site. So based on the above, staff is supportive of the Caton Farm Road sidewalk waiver request. The Plan Commission is charged with making findings and recommendations on that waiver. I'm not going to read all of these, but again, the Plan Commission will go through these criteria this afternoon in making its recommendation. And that concludes the report, with the exception that I will add, if the zoning board desires to approve the special use permit and series of variations, the following conditions would be included. 1, that the applicant submit a landscape plan for staff review prior to issuance of the building permit. And again, said landscape plan shall reflect any fencing around the vehicle storage areas, shall consist of a black vinyl coated chain link fence or a wrought iron or similar type aluminum fence. 2, that the applicant submit building elevations for staff review prior to issuance of the building permit. And 3, that the special use herein are granted shall herein terminate and lapse unless a building permit or certificate of occupancy is obtained not later than 180 days of the effective date of the ordinance. I won't read the rest. That's the rest of number 3 is a standard condition. Number 4, condition number 4, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and possible revocation of the special use permit. That concludes staff's report.
Thank you. Petitioner present.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Mike Hansen, attorney.
You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
Yes, sir, I do.
Name and address.
Mike Hansen, 111 North Ottawa Street, on behalf of the applicant. If I could just request, Mr. Schwartz, could you please read the conclusion? Because I think you may have inadvertently forgotten the conclusion from your report.
We typically don't read that, but I'm happy to. Staff believes that the proposed special use permit and series of variations in order to allow 2 new and used car sales businesses, Hawk Volkswagen and Hawk Mazda, at the northwest corner of Illinois Route 59 and Caton Farm Road, meets the requirements for granting of a special use permit, and variations as established by the city zoning ordinance should not have any negative effects of the surrounding mixed-use area or the Illinois Route 59 commercial corridor.
Thank you. I'm here also with our representatives, our engineer and our architect, as well as representatives from Hawk Auto. So if the members of the zoning board have any questions, we concur with the staff request and report and ask approval of our petition.
You're a lot shorter than he was. Any questions?
Yeah, I do. It seems like a lot of the variations have to do with landscaping, and we don't have a landscape plan. I mean, I'd kind of like to see what you have in mind, because you want a lot of changes in that.
We have submitted, excuse me, Dan Militech, you want to, our engineer? I believe you did. Have you submitted that yet, or you sent me a copy of that today? It's copy. Okay, it's not been submitted. We're ready to submit that, Ms. Powers, to the, staff. We've had a series of meetings with the staff concerning the landscaping. Mike, I think it's fair to say that while you haven't seen the actual report, the staff plan, we did talk in general about all these types of, requests for variations. That's why we did apply for them. We know that the approval today by the zoning board is still subject to the approval of the staff, of the plan. So you have that comfort that they're going to make sure that these are proper and correct. So it's just with the nature of a project that it's this large and this, we've spent probably 6 months working on this project. This was one of the things that kind of got left to the end, so.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Chair closes petition to the floor and asks the board for discussion and a vote.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion second to approve the petition. Call the roll.
Mr. Ferguson.
Aye.
Mr. Graham.
Aye.
Ms. Powers.
Aye.
Mr. Riggs.
Aye.
Mr. Thompson.
Aye.
Ms. Darley.
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy.
I'm going to vote aye, and I'd like to express the city's gratitude for staying in Joliet. We've lost some dealerships. It's a great asset to the city to have these stay in here. I don't know what the intent for the other that they're vacating are. Maybe you can answer that, but I'm grateful for the city for you guys staying in the city of Joliet. Thank you. I vote aye.
And I would just make an announcement that this case is scheduled for the pre-city council meeting on Monday the 19th, as well as a regular council meeting on Tuesday the 20th next week.
Thank you very much.
Stay where you are. We got another one coming up for you. Petition 2018-13.
Petition number 2018-13. The applicant is Albert Kopinski. He is also, the owner is Albert and Jolanta Kopinski. The location is 2409 West Jefferson Street. This is a request for a special use permit to allow an auto customization, auto accessory installation, and used car sales business. The applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow an auto customization, auto accessory installation, and used car sales business in a proposed B3 general business zoning district located at 2409 West Jefferson Street. This request must be considered by the City Council following the recommendation of the ZBA. Under site-specific information, the property in question is approximately 0.64 acres in size. It is 295 feet deep and 120 feet wide along Jefferson Street and 80 feet wide along the rear property line. The property includes a 5,270 square foot brick and metal building. The building has been used for automotive parts sales since the late 1970s. It was most recently CarQuest Auto Parts. The property in question is zoned I-1 light industrial, but the petitioner has concurrently submitted a zoning reclassification petition to the Plan Commission to reclassify the property as B3 general business. The petitioner operates a specialty auto accessories store, Crusader Customs, within the front portion of the existing building. The sale of auto accessories is allowed in the I-1 light industrial and the B3 general business zoning districts without a special use permit approval. This case was filed on February 2nd, 2018. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommended approval of a special use permit to allow an auto accessories installation, customization, and used car sales facility at their December 21st, 2017 meeting. The City Council denied the request for a special use permit at their January 2nd, 2018 meeting. An audio and video recording of the City Council's discussion on the matter can be found on the city's archived e-agenda minutes and streaming video for that meeting date. Because the property was zoned I-1 light industrial at the time of the denial of the special use permit request, the petitioner is requesting that the property be reclassified from I-1 light industrial to B3 general business zoning so that the petitioner can bring back the petition to the zoning board and city council. City ordinance requires that at least 1 year has elapsed since any denial of any prior application for a special use permit that would have authorized substantially the same use unless conditions in the area have substantially changed. The rezoning of this property would constitute a substantial change and would allow the petition for a special use, this petition for a special use permit, to be reheard. The zoning reclassification petition is scheduled for a public hearing at this afternoon's meeting of the Plan Commission. This new special use permit request, as well as the request for zoning reclassification, are scheduled for the April 3rd, 2018 City Council agenda. And this special use permit approval is contingent on the approval of the zoning reclassification of the property from I-1 light industrial to B3 general business zoning. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character, to the north is I-1 light industrial, to the south is B3 general business, to the east is I-1 light industrial, used as industrial, and to the west is B3 general business used for retail. Applicable regulations are as noted in the staff report. Under discussion, the petitioner and owner of Crusader Customs sells specialty auto accessories at this location. The petitioner recently moved his business from 1020 West Jefferson Street to this site. The petitioner has been in the auto accessory customization and sales business for 18 years in Joliet. Prior to operating at 1020 West Jefferson, the petitioner was the co-owner of an auto accessories and customization business at 222 Ruby Street. The sale of auto accessories is allowed in the I-1 light industrial and the B3 general business without special use permit approval. The petitioner is requesting the special use permit in order to install these specialty auto accessories, as well as customize auto vehicles and sell customized used auto vehicles. The City of Joliet zoning ordinance states that an establishment for the display, sale, and minor repair or installation of automotive vehicles in the B3 general business and I-1 light industrial districts requires a special use permit. Conceptual floor plans and site plans for these uses subject to this petition are attached. The front of the building will continue to be the showroom for specialty auto accessories, and the rear of the building will be for custom installs and for the indoor sale of customized vehicles. The petitioner has future plans to sell customized cars in the rear parking area as well as along the back half of the west parking area from the warehouse building northward. The future sales area along the back half of the west parking area shall be screened by a 6-foot-high privacy fence. In the short term, the petitioner plans to continue to lease excess parking along the western elevation to the tenants of 2411 through 2419 West Jefferson, which is immediately to the west. Employee and customer parking will take place within the eastern parking area. There are 12 existing spaces located along the east side of the building and 2 spaces fronting Jefferson Street toward the east property line. The eastern portion of the lot also includes a common parking and access easement for lots 1 and 2 and an 8-foot access easement along the eastern lot line to allow access to the rear of the subject parcel as well as the adjacent lots. The petitioner intends to use the rear parking area for future employee and customer parking as well as additional inventory parking. In the short term, the petitioner plans to continue to lease excess parking in the rear parking area to the tenants of 2411 through 2419 West Jefferson and 2401 West Jefferson. The majority of the rear parking area is gravel, which shall be paved as a condition of the proposed uses. The Department of Public Works, overall, the property includes adequate off-street parking to accommodate the proposed additional uses. The Department of Public Works and Department of Public Utilities have no concerns with the plans to reuse the building and site. The petitioner intends to continue site improvements, including repainting the rear building, changing out the panels, seal coating the existing parking areas, and removing the low brick wall in front of the building. The hours of operation would be Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will be up to 4 employees. The petitioner anticipates up to 5 visitors at a time. The property is in an existing light industrial and general business area of the city, and the proposed land use is consistent with other allowable uses in this area of the city. The property is not adjacent to or within the Presence St. Joseph Medical Center Tax Increment Financing District, as shown on the attached map in your packet. Conditions: if the zoning board desires to approve this special use permit, the following conditions would be included. 1, that the property be reclassified from I-1 light industrial to B3 general business zoning, and that would be contingent on action this afternoon by the Plan Commission and ultimately the City Council. 2, that the rear parking area shall be paved within 180 days of approval. 3, that the western and south or front parking areas shall be seal coated within 180 days of approval. 4, the eastern parking area shall be seal coated and restriped to designate parking stalls within 180 days of approval. 5, outdoor vehicle sales shall be restricted from taking place in the front parking area, within the east parking area, and within the front half of the west side parking area, or in other words, along the brick portion of the building. Outdoor vehicle sales shall be restricted to the rear parking area and the back half of the west side parking area, extending from the warehouse portion of the building northward. 6, the west side sales area shall be screened from the street by a 6-foot-high privacy fence. The applicant shall submit a detailed fencing plan to planning staff prior to City Council action on the petition. 7, all temporary or long-term outdoor storage of vehicles shall be prohibited. 8, the use of window rope lighting or strobe lighting shall be prohibited. 9, that the special use granted shall herein terminate and lapse unless a building permit or certificate of occupancy is obtained not later than 180 days after the effective date of the ordinance. And I won't read the rest, but again, number 9 is a standard condition. Number 10, condition 10, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be subject to a rehearing and possible revocation of the special use permit. And 11, that a business license shall be obtained. And that concludes staff's report.
Mr. Hampton. You've been sworn in.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon again, members, Mr. Chairman, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Michael Hanson on behalf of the petitioners, Albert and Joe Kopinski, who are here today. I'd like to begin the short presentation by reading the conclusion of the staff. The property is in an existing light industrial and general business area of the city. The existing 5,270 square foot building has been used for automotive parts sales since the late 1970s and was most recently CarQuest Auto Parts. The request for a special use permit to allow an auto customization, auto accessory installation, and used car sales business in the proposed B3 general business or existing I1 light industrial zoning district should not cause any negative impacts to the surrounding area, subject to the conditions that Mr. Schwartz read. You will recall that this matter was before this zoning board, and I believe there was a unanimous recommendation of the zoning board of the city council in December. Since that time period, you also heard and you're aware that the city council did deny the special use permits for the inside minor repairs as well as the outside sale of used cars. Since that time period, we've worked with staff, worked with my client to try and, if you will, impose additional conditions, additional considerations in order to make this a palatable development for my client. First of all, you heard that we are requesting a down zoning through the Plan Commission. Obviously, it's zoned I1 right now. That's a much intense use than a B3. Generally, the districts on Jefferson Street are B3. I think that is better, more compatible with the general area. The particular use that we're requesting is still a compatible use within that particular zoning district. And notwithstanding the fact you need a special use permit for an I1 district, I1 is a much more intense and use and not really appropriate for that area. Number two is that we're not going to be parking cars in the front. The earlier petition permitted, I believe, one car to be parked in front. We understand the significance of this location and believe that it should be there should be no parking in front of this location. With respect to the sale of the used cars, these cars will be, Mr. Kapinski is in the business of custom cars. He's not a used car dealer. So his cars that he would be selling to his clients and customers are custom vehicles that he either repairs or that he buys for resale. So it's not your typical used car dealership. We feel and work with staff to as you can see on the diagram that's posted on the picture, that a fence would be put up on the west side of the building halfway down, in which behind the fence he could in fact have his cars then. The cars would not then be visible from Jefferson Street. Obviously, this is not this is a destination type of facility. It's not one of those that's a typical car dealership where people may be driving by and want to stop and all of a sudden take a look at a car. His clientele is a very unique and somewhat not that large of a clientele. If you've been to that location, also the back of the location is there you go. Thank you for the picture. It kind of does in a certain way befit the semi-industrial area of the neighborhood. We're trying to make sure that this is being on Jefferson Street does focus more into a business type environment. We do have the approval and the support of both neighbors on the west side, the Micas family, as well as on the east side, Cornerstone, for our development. With that, I'll entertain any other questions that the zoning board may have.
Yeah, I'd like to have a definition of what we consider customized cars, because I'm looking for the distinction between just a retail used car lot and customized cars. I mean, you could just tint windows or put a chrome extension on an exhaust pipe and call it customized. To what extent are we?
I'll ask Al to come on up and give the definition, because he's the one who does it every day.
I swear you in, sir. Do you swear the evidence you're about to say is the truth and nothing but the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, I do.
Name and address.
Albert Kapinski, 1284 Durham Lane, Lamont, Illinois.
Okay.
Yes, so the customized, yes, basically I'm gonna buy the cars from the auction and put different wheels on there, say like a Jeep, and put wheels on there, have a grill, tail lights, headlights, something different. I don't wanna be known as a regular dealership. I wanna be a customized dealership.
So you won't be just buying used cars wholesale and bringing them back to sell. It'll be cars that you work on.
Yes,
Would that be all work be done inside?
yes.
No outside work at all?
Outside work.
How many cars would you have on display in the back?
Right now, it'll just be starting maybe just a couple, 5, 10.
What's the maximum you could have back there?
I have enough parking, I think it's like 20, 25.
Staff have any idea what the maximum is?
We have not quantified that. There's no striping. It's just a gravel lot right now, so we'd like to see it. The paving condition covers that it be paved. And that, I think there's striping as well. Is that true?
Yeah, we would comply with all city ordinances with respect to paving, striping, and parking, et cetera.
But I just want to make the point that you'll be selling just customized cars.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Are any of these cars gonna be considered classic cars?
Yes, I mean, some are gonna be classics, some are newer cars.
Any further questions by the board? Anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone opposed? I swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
I do.
Name and address, please.
Tom Boucher, 110 Rebecca Road, Joliet, Illinois.
Want to raise the mic up, sir, so we can...
Yes, Tom Boucher, 110 Rebecca Road, Joliet, Illinois. I'm appearing before you as a concerned citizen and ask that you uphold the January 2nd decision of the City Council with the rejection of the special use permit for Crusader Customs. This is an opinion that I shared with the elected officials, the mayor and the City Council, prior to their January 2nd meeting in the form of an email, of which I have copies for each of you. Like all of you, I believe in transparency in government and purposely sent my messages to the email addresses furnished by the city. I've prepared a statement to share and wish to do so. The city of Joliet has spent over 6 years preparing for and implementing a TIF district that abuts the property adjacent to 2409 West Jefferson Street. Since 2012, the city has embarked on this project to encourage land development that would improve the area and add new medical facilities around the hospital, as well as ancillary services like restaurants, shops, etc. In addition to the time invested in this endeavor and the commitment for 23 years of tax revenue to be set aside for the TIF district, the city has twice commissioned SB Friedman Developer Advisors to conduct studies on the area. The most recent was a $29,000 investment in 2016. The focus for this study was on the areas to the south and the west of the hospital. I presume that each of you are intimately familiar with the findings and suggestions, so in the interest of time, I will reference key SB Friedman observations that I believe will sum it up well. 74% of the buildings in the area show signs of deterioration. A lack of community planning for the area. Overcrowding of structures, inadequate parking, sidewalks, inadequate access to rights of way. This report addresses the immediate TIF district. Unfortunately, it reflects sadly on many parts of our city, including the areas adjacent to the TIF district. I feel compelled to cite reasons given by the city officials and hospital liaisons to the city in 2006 as justification for creating the TIF district. Now, these are their words, not mine, so they should sound familiar to you. Encourage land development that would improve the area and add new medical facilities around the hospital. The creation of a TIF district is a wise decision. We need to encourage development around St. Joseph's. St. Joseph's has made a commitment to Joliet. They stayed in Joliet. I think the city should make the same commitment to St. Joseph Hospital. The hospital is the single biggest employer in Joliet, especially with what happened with Silver Cross. I think it is imperative that we work with St. Joseph. St. Joseph has 2,400 employees, with 200 more next door at Villa Franciscan. We will both be better served by working together. The enhancement of the area surrounding St. Joseph's and the west side is vital to the experience of our patients, their families, our associates, and likewise important to businesses. We look forward to collaborating with the city to support the economic development of Joliet. This is from the now deceased Dr. Ted Kanalakis. For many people, the hospital neighborhood is the first impression of Joliet. There are at least 100 patient transfers a month to St. Joseph's. Their loved ones come to visit. In the same area, the city launched a code enforcement program aimed at getting business cooperation in cleanup and property improvements aimed at polishing up the route's curbside appeal. A citywide program was launched to improve the appearance of major commercial corridors. There are also countless references to the area being blighted. At the end of the day, we're talking about an area that the city has designated for a major development, an investment in infrastructure to expand a footprint in the continuing growing healthcare industry. An industry that is projected to experience a compound annual growth rate of greater than 15.9%. And with an aging baby boomer population, it is the highest growth sector in our economy. Goals for the area include a proposed $17.9 million in improvements, including redevelopment of buildings, improved public infrastructure, as well as the surrounding streetscape and landscape. These investments that are envisioned would be similar to the investments made by President's Cancer Care on Jefferson Street, the former Joha facility, where 100 people are employed, and they serve over 5,000 patients. Other examples in the area are the investments by Heartland, Future Diagnostics, and many more. The vision of the TIF district is beginning to take shape, and adjacent to this TIF district, the petitioner is seeking to open a body shop and a custom automobile sales operation. The city has many industrial locations already designated for an enterprise like this, and in my opinion, the city and its residents would be better served with this category of business operating in one of those existing areas. As stated at the outset, I'm appearing before you as a concerned citizen and ask that you uphold the January 2nd, 2018 City Council rejection of the special use permit. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your courtesy.
There you go. Is that property in the GIF?
It is not. As you can see from the map exhibit on the screen, the TIF district is the area outlined in the pink, or shaded in pink, and the subject property is circled with a yellow highlighter.
Okay, anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? Did you wish to rebut that?
Yeah. There is another place that sells, I'm sorry. There's another place that sells tires and rims in that TIF district. It's Tire Rack. It's, I think, on Republic. And I don't know if Discount Tire has the same thing, but the dealership Hawk is
We're familiar with the area and what's being sold out there.
Okay.
Councilman, would you care to make any comments?
Excuse me. No, members of the zoning board, the only comments I wanted to make is, of course, you noted exactly where this location. This, my client's been in business in Joliet, further down Jefferson Street for, over 17 years. He made the progressive step to purchase this property and was available for sale. I think the hospital or somebody else who wanted to see this and, expand could have taken the same opportunity. What we have here, we don't have a body shop. We've got a minor repair shop, all done inside. We've got the sale of classic used cars, not, general used cars. I believe he's shown to be a proper citizen of Joliet, not only, but this location really befits the particular use that he has in mind. So that's our position.
Anyone else? Any other comments by the board? I would just give the board a bit of history on these special use permits. And looking up case law, find that most court decisions are based on you must have compelling evidence to deny a special use permit as opposed to a variation. Not only clear and concise, but compelling. We've heard some opinions today. Personally, I've heard no compelling evidence. So I'm therefore going to call for a motion from the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the petition. Call the roll.
Ms. Darling?
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson?
Aye.
Mr. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. Hennessy?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, we're ready for petition 2018-12. Is petitioner present here yet? Okay, let's hear that.
Mr. Chair, petition number 2018-12. The applicant is Emilio Bravo. He is also the owner of the property. This is for 160 South Center Street, a request for variances. The petitioner is requesting approval of a variance on a rear yard setback from 15 feet to 2 feet 4 inches and on building material from masonry to metal panel in order to allow an addition to an existing building to remain or be replaced. The Zoning Board of Appeals makes the final decision on this request. Under site-specific information, the 8,712 square foot site is zoned I-1 light industrial and originally contained a 1,816 square foot metal building that was built in 1977. A special use permit was approved in May of 2016 to allow reestablishment of an auto repair facility. Conditions of the approval included the following. One, that the unpaved parking lots be paved as per the requirements of the city's Public Works Department within 90 days of approval. Two, that the existing fencing, including broken and missing slats, be repaired within 90 days of approval. Three, that the existing building be painted and the gutters repaired within 90 days of approval. Four, that there would be no long-term storage, maximum 10 days, of inoperable vehicles on the site. Five, that the special use permit granted shall herein terminate and lapse unless a building permit or certificate of occupancy is obtained not later than 180 days of the effective date of the ordinance. And the rest of that is a standard condition. And condition number 6, should the property be declared a public nuisance, it shall be declared subject to a rehearing and a possible revocation of the special use permit. As of the writing of this report, only the front portion of the parking lot has been paved, and the area within the fenced-in storage area still needs to be paved. This petition was filed February 2nd of 2018. Surrounding zoning, land use, and character, to the north is residential, zoned R3. To the south and to the east is commercial, zoned I1. And to the west is residential, zoned R2. Applicable regulations are as noted in the report. Under discussion, the petitioner is requesting variances on the rear setback and building material in order to allow a recent 13 foot by 58 foot addition, which was constructed without a permit, to remain or be replaced. The city's building department was notified of the illegal addition in December 2017 by way of a complaint. Not only was the addition constructed without a permit, but it also does not meet the current building code. If the petitioner cannot renovate the addition to meet code, he would like to replace it in its entirety with similar material. The petitioner utilizes the addition for storage of personal items like recreational vehicles. The area where the addition was constructed cannot be used for parking. The addition includes a large overhead door that faces east toward the adjacent fenced-in storage yard. In order to access it, the storage yard would need to be cleared of most automobiles in order to preserve a path to the door. Without the area within the fenced-in location being used for customer parking, the lot would have a parking problem, as illustrated by the attached pictures. If the property becomes a nuisance, the previously approved special use permit could be repealed, which could trigger a revocation of the business license. Under conditions, if the zoning board desires to approve the variances, the following conditions would be included. One, that the unpaved parking lot within the fenced-in storage yard be paved as per the requirements of the city's Public Works Department prior to the addition being renovated or replaced. And one other thing that I would note is you have on your dais a letter from the president of the St. Pat's Neighborhood Association. I won't read this into the record unless you would like that, but there's a letter objecting strongly to the variance request.
Do we have a rep here from St. Pat's? Okay, no need to read what's on here. Is that it?
That concludes staff's
Want
report.
to come forward? Oh, yeah. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Name and address.
Rich Reichenberger, 324 Pleasant Street, Joliet, Illinois.
Okay, and you are here in what?
I'm here in two capacities. I'm here for the St. Pat's Neighborhood Association, as well as for myself. I have an automotive repair business further down the street. 20 years ago, I stood here before you to get variances for my business. They were costly. I abided by all of them, and we've had a great relationship for 20 years. What I've seen so far from this gentleman is that his ordinances have not been maintained. By the pictures, you can see the overcrowding, parking on the streets. He has cars for sale, which he's not even zoned for, as well as this addition on the back. You know, St. Pat's has fought long and hard for the density problems in the St. Patrick area. And this certainly isn't going to help alleviate any of that. The building was put up quickly. He's not going to be incurring a great loss by that being taken down. It's a minor pole building at this point, and he says he wants to use it for personal reasons. This is a business location. I just don't see that it won't turn into more space for repair and whatnot.
Okay, thank you. Petitioner present here, let's come on forward. Who's going to be speaking? Both of you?
Yeah.
Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law? I need both your names and addresses.
I do.
Jose Alvarado, United Architects, 1002 Plainfield Road, Joliet.
Emilio Gervasio, 2448 Sur Homan Street, Chicago.
Thank you. Do you have any comments you'd like to make, sir?
Que son propiedad mía, que no son de él.
Yeah, as far as the parking, we've been in contact with the city staff, and he wasn't aware of the parking issues, and since then I've made him aware that we need to clean up his parking area there, including that RV that's sitting back there. That's his personal vehicle, and he's since then has removed that from the site. The asphalt pave, he does have a contract with a paving company that will be doing it this April, paving that area that's inside the fenced-in area. As far as the building itself that he built without a permit, I was contacted after that, and I've been working with Dave Mackley on it. If we get the zoning approval, or if we get the special, variance approval, I will go ahead and, bring the building up to standards or up to code, with the issues that the building department has, and that's why he hired me mostly for.
Did you put the addition on?
No. Again, he put the addition, the owner put the addition on.
But you were not the architect.
Oh, no, I wasn't, no. He put it up himself without knowing the regulations or without knowing the permit process. And I was contacted after that, and at the time I contacted Dave Mackley to see what we need to do on it. So, again, this was the first step in getting that taken care of. If we get the special use, or if we get the variance, then we will proceed with working with the building department to take care of the issues with them. So, but I mean, we're working, as far as the staff on, taking care of the parking. I've made them clear to them that we cannot have all these cars parked out there. Once the RV is removed, like I said, which it is now, I think he could, open up a little bit more spaces in there to get some of those vehicles in there.
Okay. Any comments by the board, questions? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor? In favor of the petition? Come forward. Do you swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Name and address.
My name is Russell Wunderlich. I'm president of Wunderlich Doors. We are a neighbor to the southeast at 300 West Allen Street in Joliet. I can certainly appreciate the view of the St. Patrick's area. The only reason I'm here is to commend the young man who is running this business and trying to make something of himself. I've been in this location since 1967 when my father first built the building, so I'm quite aware of everything that's happened in the location and the good and bad things that have happened. Being that we have buildings around him, I personally, from my view, don't object to it, as long as he abides by the restrictions that you're putting on him. I just want to say that I have used him to service my own vehicle. I know some of my employees have used him to service theirs. We've all been very happy with his attitude, his service, and the way he's handled us. Prior to him purchasing this building, the building was in awful repair because the prior owners weren't healthy, they lost interest in the building, and they let it go. This is a young man who's doing good things, not bad. Yes, maybe he shouldn't have started the building without the proper authority, but maybe he truly didn't know what he had to do. But I think he's a good man trying to make a good living in a good way. Again, I respect the St. Pat's area, and certainly they have concerns, and they're just and they should be heard. But I just want you to know that this is a fine young man. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
I do.
Name and address.
Delilah Davila, 1335 Beale Avenue. I come today as a neighbor who's been there, we've been in the neighborhood for the last 28 years. My sister is a current owner, title holder for 158, which is directly north of the building, and also 156 South Center Street, which is 2 houses down from the auto repair. I guess I'm here today to, I am partly in favor, but with the restrictions that I now know that were brought up today, I am in favor. He has done a lot to the building, increased its appearance, and we definitely, that's something that we needed in the area. Like I said, we've been in the area for the last 28 years, and we've seen it go through the previous owner, and we saw the deteriorating of the building itself. So to see it now in this condition, which is better than it was before, and if the proposed repairs are in place and completed, I believe this would be a good area. The overcrowdedness of cars is an issue that I wanted to raise today. But if he complies to what is planned for him, I believe that this would be a good place, a good fit for him. Like I said, we've been dealing with the same type of business for the last years. There should be no problem with it continuing on. There's 2 concerns that we have. Again, being directly to the north of the building, the concern that we have is the structure having downspouts going directly into the property. And as you can see the picture right there in the fence, the bottom picture, that's the property right next to it. So we're concerned about the water, the gutters and the water going directly into that area, the landscape area. So we would ask that he direct all the funneling of into the street, to the front or somewhere, whatever requirements he needs to meet to avoid that. We request that be completed. We also ask that the reason for that building be consistent and he remain it with just that personal, for him using for personal reasons only and not for any other type. I believe I hate to phrase this, but there was some type of painting going on in the building, and that is a concern. We're okay with, and if he's approved for whatever use it is, we're okay with it as long as there's proper ventilation and we're not getting the direct hit of the fumes of the paint. I am moving into that property at 158. We're doing some minor repairs, moving in hopefully next month. And by all means, I want to open my windows, and I do not want to smell any fumes going into the into the house with kids and everything. And like I said, I've grown up in this neighborhood for the last 28 years. So I've come back to it, I move out and I come back to it every single time. And this is my home. So, and it's been my parents' home. My parents live directly, off of Beach Street, which is like 3 houses. There's an alley right there. My parents bought the house right behind that just so we can all stay. So it's a kind of our compound because it's all family really that lives there. So, like I said, I am in favor of what he's been doing and everything he's done, with, again, on behalf of my sister and my brother-in-law. We're happy that he's doing what he's doing. We just hope and, that he complies with all the regulations that are in place for him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Is this in favor?
Maybe a little of both.
Swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
Yes, I do.
Name and address.
I'm Bob Ducktree. I live at 614 Western Avenue, and I'm a board member of the Cathedral Area Preservation Association. I just wanted to make the observation that Center Street here is a major entry corridor into Joliet, and people who drive north on it, this is the first impression they have of the entire city. We would not oppose this building if all the conditions are complied with. The conditions that were imposed on it before have not been complied with, so there needs to be a change in behavior of the owner. That applies also to parking on the lot south of Allen Street that he does not own. Often vehicles are parked there that are associated with the business, and all of this must stop if this is going to continue to be the impression that people get of Joliet. Thank you.
Well, we've got 2 homeowners associations who have various opinions. I'm going to close petition to the floor and ask the board for discussion and a vote.
I just have a question now. If this addition were taken down, and the parking lot were paved, we'd be all good, right? Is that correct? Is that what I understand?
Yes. You have the, the condition that the one condition is that they paved the lot. If you vote on it as is, and he's able to, if you grant the variance to reduce the setback, he would still, with or without conditions, have to meet the building code. He won't get a permit for that. He needs to do some modifications to meet building code still with the facade of that structure.
Making it masonry rather than metal?
No.
No.
He's asking for
He's asking for metal.
He's asking for relief to allow metal.
So if we were to grant that.
If you were to grant it, now he still has there's other building code requirements that he'd still have to meet.
Right.
You're not waiving any of those. You're only waiving 2 things. You're only giving variances for 2 things: the reduced setback and the material being metal instead of masonry.
Motion is denied.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to deny the petition. Call the roll.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Powers?
Aye.
Mr. Riggs?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Ms. Darling?
Aye.
Mr. Ferguson?
No.
Mr. Hennessy?
I vote with the majority. Aye. Thank you. Okay, under old business, what is this public comments? Let's get into that a little bit. This is something new that we've got, a new format on our agenda. You want to explain that?
Sure. The city manager and corporate counsel have reviewed all of the agendas for the various boards and commissions. They would like some consistency, and in order to be consistent, they're recommending that there be 2 opportunities for people to comment. So one of the next things on your agenda is the citizens to be heard.
So what, if I'm looking at this right, are there 2 open mic sessions, one before the meeting, one after?
Yes. The first one is citizens to be heard on the agenda items themselves.
And what, their comments do not have to be related to zoning?
No, they do. They have to
We
be
have
related
limited
to the cases.
authority over things. If, you know, somebody comes in here and wants to talk about gun control or Planned Parenthood or something, do we have to subject everybody to listening to that, or?
No,
I'm
gonna read what's right on the agenda. This section, under number 4, citizens to be heard on agenda items, states that this section is for anyone wanting to speak regarding items listed on the agenda, except for items listed under public hearing. Anyone speaking on an agenda item is entitled to speak for a maximum of 4 minutes. It is not a question and answer period, and staff and the Zoning Board of Appeals do not generally respond to public comments. Please note, speakers who engage in conduct injurious to the harmony of the Zoning Board of Appeals shall be called to order by the presiding officer and may forfeit the opportunity to speak.
Now, we've all read that, but I mean, you know, that's a pretty broad phrase, non-agenda items. My question again is specific. Does that have to be unrelated to zoning, or can it be any subject people want to get them to talk about?
It should be related to some issue for the zoning board to consider.
The first one.
The first one.
But the second one could be anything.
Yeah.
If I understand it, right?
It could be. It could be.
Someone
could come up and say something unrelated to any case that's on your agenda and unrelated to anything you even deal with. You, under the law, have to allow them to speak because it's an open meeting. So you don't have to respond to them, you don't have to engage with them, but you have to give them the opportunity to speak. And this is directed not from city staff, this is directed from the city manager and our corporate counsel.
All right, so as far as citizens to be heard on agenda items, does that mean all the people who are here who spoke on individual agenda item, or, I mean, I don't understand what that means.
Typically what you do is each case comes up and you open the hearing for that particular case. So if someone wanted to come and give testimony and then they had to run out, you could allow them, you could oblige them. They would be authorized to come up, state their piece, because technically the whole, you know, it's part of the public hearing. I don't know if I made that clear.
Or just don't advertise it.
That's what I said.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes of the last meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in favor of adjournment, so signify. Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
Can I ask, Mr. Chair, you skipped over that part.
Huh?
You can't adjourn, you have to open number 4, you skipped over it.
Oh, we have to open up for an open floor?
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute.
Right after the approval of the minutes, there was an opportunity for citizens to be
Anybody want to
heard
get up and make some comments?
on agenda items.
Here we go.
So
This is on an agenda
we're
item.
assuming, are you withdrawing the motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Whoever withdrew it? Okay.
But this is something that we've already heard.
Technically, yes, but you did not give an option for an opposition of 160 South Center Street, so that's where I was going to
We
say.
had opposition hearing.
No, because Bob Noctor, you asked him if it was in favor or in opposition, and he said kind of both, and then after that, there was nothing.
But we moved to deny it.
Correct, which I partially appreciate, but as St. John's neighborhood co-president, I would like to be able to give
go
our
ahead.
point of view. Okay, Candace Johnson, St. John's. We appreciate
I must swear you in first.
Sorry.
Swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
Yes, sir.
Your name and address.
Candace Johnson, 373 Western Avenue, St. John's
I
neighborhood
apologize,
co-president.
I didn't see you raise your hand back there.
So St. John's neighborhood is appreciative of the building owner, but we did agree with the St. Pat's Neighborhood Association that with the fact that the building was built without permits, also not within the building code, and technically he does park lots of vehicles on both his property as well as an adjacent property. The fact that he did not comply with the original asking of all of the parking be paved, and I don't know, I had it all good earlier, I apologize. But we agreed with St. Pat's that it should not be approved for variation. So thank you for denying it, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Came all the way out here.
Well, we're off to a good start today.
Eric
You
Furto.
swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law.
Yes. Based off what Eric Furto, I'm 2228 Irvine Lane in the Wedgewood Estates subdivision. It's in regards to the Hawk property that's going to be going up. I'm very concerned about it being at the corner of Caton Farm and 59. Lots of reasons: light pollution, sound pollution, traffic. It's one of the most dangerous intersections in Will County, and adding the dealership at that location, to me, is gonna just further make that more difficult, and I appreciate for you letting me talk, and appreciate for all that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up. You swear the evidence you're about to present is the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Name and address, please.
Scott Ward, 2017 Torwood Circle. I live in the same subdivision, Wedgewood Estates. I'm concerned about the Hawk Auto going in. Not entirely opposed to it, although I understand what he just said, some good points. What I'm really concerned with is the traffic there. If I'm not mistaken, that is the second or third worst intersection in the city. I'm new to this, never been to one of these before. One of the slides that was up there earlier that showed the corner and entrances, I know you guys aren't going to answer questions for me, but as I look at that, no, the other one, it appears that there's going to be a entrance and exit and another exit on 59, and then an entrance and exit on Caton Farm as well. I'm very concerned as to whether or not, and I can't tell by looking at that, whether or not there's going to be additional turn lanes put in. That intersection is a nightmare right now, and I can't see another business going in something that large without putting additional turn lanes in. We have people coming from the east where the Jewel is, heading west right there, and there's going to be people stopping to turn in to that, or slowing down to turn into that Hawk Auto. It appears that this is going to go in. It is my opinion that there should be new turn lanes put in on both 59 and Caton Farm, and certainly limit the number of entrances and exits into that business. I think another thing that would be a tremendous help right there is on the west side of the intersection, people heading west on Caton Farm are allowed to turn left into the gas station there. Complete nightmare. My opinion is we need those plastic poles that are put up at certain intersections so that you cannot turn. You should not be able to turn left into that BP gas station heading west past the intersection, especially now that you're going to have another business on the right-hand side heading west. That's a terrible intersection now. I dread when my kids drive through it, and this is obviously not going to make it better or stay the same. It's obviously going to make it worse. So those are my concerns, and I thank you for listening.
My advice to you would be to go to the city council meeting.
After I read the sign that I saw on the golf course that was put up
The final,
2 days ago, 3 days ago, gee, thanks for the big notice on that. I know that's not you, but
the final vote goes, the city council decides on land use, so.
I mean, God knows what they spent on those.
There's also is a state highway, so, the lighting and all that would be controlled a lot by the state.
Right. The city has lighting guidelines, and we have engineers on staff that would review.
Is the state involved in that?
No, only for possibly if any new public right-of-way lighting on the intersections.
Oh, so 59, even though it's a state highway, the state has no.
If the lighting is on private property, it would be reviewed by city engineering staff.
Okay.
So.
That's what I would do if I were you. I would go to the city council meeting. And when is that, Mr.? When is that going to be again?
This case is scheduled for pre-council this coming Monday, the 19th at 5:30 in this very room, and at 6:30 p.m. for the regular council meeting on Tuesday, the 20th.
So which one would be better to go to?
They have the discussion at pre-council, and then they actually vote on Tuesday, so both.
Monday and Tuesday? Monday, excuse me, at 5:30?
5:30.
That's when they have discussion.
Tuesday at 6:30.
Right here. Council meeting, they usually just vote, so.
Definitely Monday.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you,
That's
sir.
why I'm here. Thank you very much.
Okay, now can we?
There we go. Anyone else? I saw Ray say, yeah.
Did he have to call these though? Did he call these?
Did you want to speak, sir?
Okay.
Can we adjourn now?
Oh, there's one last thing. Because of this new agenda format, I know it's a little confusing. You don't have to read items 6, 7, and 8 because there is no old or new business. But number 9, public comments, that would be just of general nature. It could be, it's the opportunity for someone who looks back at maybe past cases, something in general, doesn't like a decision that was made. It's not specifically an agenda item today.
But it could be somebody maybe who might report some kind of issue with the property that has already been approved?
Sure. It's open.
It should be related to zoning, though.
It's open-ended, and the reason that, I guess, these two sections, the first one, generally everything you consider on your agendas, with very few exceptions, everything's a public hearing. So the first item number, the first one, you're probably never gonna run into. You probably never, people who are here to speak on item number 4, citizens to be heard on agenda items, it says it's for anyone wanting to speak regarding items listed on the agenda, except for items listed under public hearing. And everything you guys consider is a public hearing. So number 4, you can generally gloss over, I'm gonna guess. Most times you won't have anybody, but you have to call it, you have to, mention that. Because there could be some business item that you vote on one day that has nothing to do with the public
Who's the
hearing.
presiding officer, me or the secretary?
That would be you. And so number 9, to distinguish number 2 and number 9 is just in general. Someone has 4 minutes, they want to come up and state their concerns about a past decision.
The city council allows, what, 3 or 4 minutes?
I think it's 4. We're trying to be consistent. And that's why it's a little confusing, because generally everything on your agenda is already a public hearing.
Okay.
So for today, we kind of went out of order for today.
You did. And it's a learning process. So
I
now we are legal. We've covered, and you called for number 9, you heard from the public, and now you can adjourn.
Do we have to do the minutes again?
No, you voted on the minutes.
Okay, all those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Everybody can go home. Or wherever you
My
want.
brain's spinning.
Or somebody else.
Total Info Dailies.